with another Mindset Monday. And this Mindset Monday, we want to talk about we talked a little bit about reframing the last Mindset Monday we had. So today we kind of want to talk about some disappointments and actually the steps for the most part, that good steps to take when reframing your mind, reframing your thinking, rather. All right. But before we do that, let's welcome in our guests. Once again, our recurring mindset coach, uh, Miss Coach Sabrina. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me back.
How's things been going for you?
Things are good. Things are really good. A lot of adjustments lately, but things are going blessed. So thank you for
Yeah.
asking.
That job is treating you nice. We talk
Yes.
about that. It's like, yeah, they paying me, so they
Yes.
treat me nice. Yes,
They're
sir.
treating me nice and they are, listen, I am being stretched every day. But it is a great space to be in. I am so impressed and just blessed. So I'm enjoying it.
Awesome, awesome. Um, Listen, so first off, I want to um before we get in really to the reframing piece of this topic, we can kind of dive into that here in a little bit, but let's talk about, because the topic today is really dealing with
Mhm.
reframing your mind or reframing your thinking after disappointment. So can you think back to a disappointing time or experience
Yeah.
where ultimately you had to reframe your thinking, or you had to, okay, you say, okay, look, this is me staying here in this place, whether it be a dark place or whatever type of place your mind was. I have to change some things, or I'm never going to get better. Can you recall one of those moments?
Yeah. Yes, I can. And I will say that the moment that comes to mind, it's kind of a series of moments that kind of all, like the sum total of those moments produced a really big disappointment for me. I think I probably mentioned this in the last call. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Like I
Mm.
left home at 17. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. In my mind, not only was I going to be a lawyer, but I was going to save my family. Like, we were not going to be poor anymore because of
Right,
me.
right,
So
right.
I left home with the idea of, like, I'm going to go be a lawyer. I'm going to make all this money. We're not going to be poor anymore. And that was kind of like the pressure that I put on myself as a 17-year-old kid. And I just kept having all of these doors slam in my face. Just door after door after door after door slammed in my face. And then ultimately, when I eventually took my LSAT test, which is the test to get into law school,
Yeah.
I did not score well. I did pretty terrible actually, and to that point, I didn't really give myself time to learn the material. I really just was so unrealistic about the way I went about it, but I did not do a great job, and I was left to choose from a set of schools that just did not align with what I wanted, and the the biggest feeling that I felt was failure. Like, you did not do what you set out to do. And it was very difficult because I think it wasn't just career, it was personal, it was emotional, it was familial. I just felt like I did not do what I set out to do. And it was a very, very challenging thing for me to deal with.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think whenever you experience disappointment in career choices or a career um, pursuit, that
A domino effect.
a domino effect, but it hits a little different, because it's
Hmm.
like, for me, let me talk for mines. I think when it comes to career, I think career and relationships kind of have the same type of emotional effect in a way, depending on
Hmm.
how invested you are into that pursuing that career.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a relationship. So I had been in a relationship for about 4 years. it was kind of like an on and off relationship, but it was a relationship that I was invested in, I was committed to, and long story short, I remember the actual day where
Mm.
I thought I was this person was going to be my wife or whatever. I
Mhm.
went, I bought a ring. I
Oh
was making
wow.
making plans to propose, and the day this is the day before Halloween. The day before Halloween, um, it she broke it off with me, and um, I was devastated. When I say devastated, I
Mhm.
was like broken, broken,
Yeah.
broken. So, and for me, when I say broken, I was like, I at this time I was what I mean, I was almost 30, maybe.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm talking about I was balled up on the floor in my apartment,
Oh
like fetal
no.
position.
Oh
So,
no. I get
so
it
yeah,
though. I get
yeah.
it. I
So yeah,
get it.
I would say that was probably one of the most disappointing um,
Mhm.
times in my life. I mean, I've had other disappointments, like not getting
Mhm.
into certain programs and different things like that. But it none of them hit like that. You know,
Mhm.
um, so trying to reframe the thinking after that was really
Yeah.
tough because let's call it what it is. It's trauma.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we think of trauma as this event that this catastrophic event.
Right.
Somebody dies unexpectedly or someone. I mean, that's trauma, but you know the way your emotions, when you can't control your emotions, where your impulses are like all out of whack, that causes trauma. I mean, that's a trauma.
Yeah.
That's a trauma experience. And how do you shift your mindset after a traumatic experience like that, because your emotions was affected. And like for me, I lost all motivation to do anything for like
Yeah.
6 7 months.
Mhm.
I was not motivated to work. I was
Mhm.
working on my doctorate at the time. Was not motivated to do any kind of coursework, schoolwork. I was
Mhm.
just I was just out of there. So lost
Yeah.
like 40 pounds.
Oh wow.
No appetite. So it that was it was very disappointing. And the thing about disappointments, for those who are listening and watching, is that uh, when you can understand this, you can understand how to properly manage it, because um, expectation breeds disappointment.
Mhm.
So when you expect something and it doesn't work out the way you wanted to, you become disappointed. And if you're not careful, that disappointment turn to resentment, and resentment can
Mhm.
turn into bitterness. And so now
Mhm.
you walking around bitter over one instance in your life, whether big or small, that you can't even see the wins that you have in front of you.
Oh yeah, I was definitely bitter. Oh, I was bitter.
Yeah.
I was I was I felt like a failure. I felt embarrassed. I felt like naked and seen, like exposed, but that all turned into bitterness, because you also have to remember I have friends who are pursuing the same thing. So I'm like, why is this not working out for me? Why is this working out for them? And then when I look at my family, I got a lot of siblings. I have parents, and I'm first generation.
Yeah.
So for college. And so when I think about who is going to save them, like who is going to be the one to remove this pressure from them, and I'm out here failing, who, if not me, then who? So I get that dark space, that depression, that like, what is wrong with me? What is physically wrong with me that I am incapable of being the man that I thought that she wanted me to be, or of accomplishing this goal that I set out to accomplish. And it did
Yeah.
create bitterness, because I'm seeing other people, like I'm sure you've seen other people propose. You've seen other happy
Oh,
relationships, and you like,
absolutely.
wait a minute. So definitely it can create a lot of negative feelings that kind of come as a result of the disappointment.
Yo, what's up, family? Just wanted to pause real quick and let you know that yes, the website is up and live. Go over to www.giftedtoglory.com and check out all the latest content. Right, we building a brand, y'all. We have blogs there. We have the latest podcast episodes there. And listen, right there, you will be able to invite me, yes, Lou, to come do a Gifted to Glory tour right there at your church, in your city, at your college, wherever, where I take you through an intensive how to take your gifts, your passion, and your talents and optimize them so you can monetize them. Yeah, go check out the website right now. That's www.giftedtoglory.com for all our exclusive content. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and don't miss any content that we have going. All right, now back to the episode. Yeah, I was the last one out of my core friends to get married. So,
Oh wow.
it's not that I was like necessarily feeling the pressure from that. It was just to the
Mhm.
point where it was like, okay, I for me it was like, and we needed when we do our episode on our mindset episode on relationships,
Oh
rather.
man.
I think it's gonna be bananas. We might have to
Goodness gracious.
bring some more people in this one and on that one, but but like I was just at that point I was tired of dating. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't. I had done what I done in my early 20s, and kind of lived my that life, going out,
Mhm.
doing all that kind of stuff, being a bachelor. It was kind of one of those areas where I was like, I was just ready to be done with that. So
Mhm.
when that happened, it like rocked me because I thought that was the moment. That was
Yeah.
it. She was it type of
Yep.
thing. Talked about kids, talked about where we want to live, family. Like, so it was just kind of like, you know, um, it just it just rocked me to my core. So
Yeah.
it definitely, if you're not careful, it causes some bitterness.
Mhm.
Um, you could end up walking around with. So what were some of the things that you did to reframe your thinking, to get out of that state rather?
Oh Lord, if I'm being honest, initially nothing.
Mm,
initially nothing. Initially I sat in it. I sat in it for a minute, and because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any coping mechanisms,
yeah.
and I really feel like people probably get so frustrated with me because I feel like Jesus is the answer for everything. And I know you probably have people who have different spiritual beliefs, but
Yeah.
I cannot lie. I cannot tell you something that happened differently than it happened. For me, it was literally I had to have a conversation with God, like, okay, let's talk about this because this ain't working. Like,
Yeah.
I'm throwing my all at this, not working. So I'm doing this wrong. I don't have anything else. I don't know what else to do. So you got to tell me. Like that is literally that's my prayer. That's how I pray. You know, and
Yeah.
and God was kind of like,
Mm,
finally, finally, you bringing this to me. Finally, you coming to me, and so I don't really have like an exercise that I can articulate. There was no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step program. It was
yeah.
literally me getting kind of sick of my own stuff and being sick of this space that I was in, and God, like I literally came to him. It's like 1 Peter, I think 5 and 7, cast all your anxieties onto him because he cares for you. It was that kind of
Yeah.
moment. I'm casting it. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm casting it. And that is when I think I touched on this in last conversation. That is when God revealed to me, I purpose you for something different, not this
Yeah.
thing that you've been pursuing for years up to this point. Because you got to understand, I've already gone to undergrad. I got my BS. At this point, I've gotten my master's degree, right? So this like 7 years of
Yeah.
school for all of this, all this effort that just did not come to fruition. So it was really me kind of going to God and him saying, I purpose you for something different. And then it became this, okay, this disappointment is an opportunity to actually navigate myself in the direction that I'm actually meant to go in. And
Yeah.
that I don't think is like a super intuitive thing for everybody to do, to kind of reframe that. But that is what I had to do. I had to look at that disappointment as, I think I've heard our pastor say this before, like God's no's are kindness. God's timing is
Mm.
kindness. That no was kindness for me. He knew if I kept scratching on that door, knocking on that door, I was going to keep being disappointed.
Right.
So, I really just kind of had to pivot and open myself up to, okay, no, what actually might God have for me instead?
Yeah. And that's really good. And it is hard, particularly when you're a person of faith, to
Yeah.
not to exclude um, you know, the spiritual side from it, because
Hmm.
sometimes when you not sometimes when you're really going through something and you're a spiritual person, it feels like the only individual you can rely on is him, right?
Yes.
um so, but I guess to try to give some practicality to some of the things that I did, because I was the same way.
Hmm.
I was just like, I'm just wait on God.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm be depressed for a while, but I'm gonna just wait on God. But here's the thing when it comes to that kind of thinking, because even God will will kind of let you stay in your bitterness because you're not
Yeah.
trying to get up.
Right.
And he's like, okay, listen, you're not even trying to get up, but this individual
Yeah.
over here, they hurting, they going through just as worse as you, but they're getting up, they're putting 2 feet on the
Hmm.
ground, they're trying to stay motivated, they're trying to finish school and go and do the things that they're doing. They're not just stopping everything. So when you're ready to
Yeah.
get up, I'll be back and I'll be here when you're
Right.
ready. But I can't waste my sovereignty on individuals who's just going to stay there,
Hmm.
stay somewhere in a state of futility, right?
Hmm.
uh, so that is tough, and that's generally for those people of faith who
Yeah.
are listening and watching, saying, okay, how do I get out of this state when I'm deep in it? Well, some practical things that I think I had to do was, that the
Hmm.
first thing I had to do is be realistic. You
Hmm.
know, be realistic. Did she really do anything wrong? No. She just
Hmm.
decided I wasn't her person.
Hmm.
That's a choice that she made about her life, which she had every right to do.
Hmm.
Did it hurt? Yes, because of my expectations, right?
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I had to be realistic. She didn't do anything wrong, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so what are the realistic, what in whatever you're going through? What are the realistic factors going on with whatever it is that you're disappointed about? Ask yourself,
Yeah.
ask,
Yeah.
ask yourself, like, for you in that moment, okay, you just being realistic. You just said you didn't give the time you really needed to the LSAT studying, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
realistically, I wasn't really ready for it. It
Yeah.
was disappointing
Yeah.
because I thought I could still, uh,
Hmm.
know enough to get to. But it's like,
Right.
if I'm being honest, if I'm being honest.
Listen, I did listen. You are. Was you back there with me watching me? Because no, I did have to have an
Mm,
honesty conversation with myself, because you know what I realized? It's like one of the things you mentioned earlier on. Can breed disappointment. I placed super unrealistic expectations on
yeah,
myself from the beginning. And I did actually have to dig into those, Coach Lou. I had to understand,
yeah,
why was I 17 thinking that I was supposed to be the savior of my family? Like, not that I don't want to be a resource, but that is an insurmountable amount of pressure to put on
it
myself.
is.
You
It
get what I'm
is.
saying?
Yeah,
I start studying for my LSAT while I was working on my master's degree in emergency management and homeland security. I was already doing something crazy. I was already doing something
yeah,
so complex.
right.
And I'm like, I'm just going to throw LSAT in here. I took
Yeah,
my LSAT test 3 weeks after finishing my master's degree. That was not realistic. You know what I'm
no,
saying? It was, so I did have to dig into the decisions that I made to get myself there. And
Mhm.
I know people are going to be upset with me, but there was a level of responsibility that I had to take and accountability that I had to take for my own disappointment. The world didn't do it to me.
Right.
Nobody did it to me. I kind of, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that is one thing that I did do, and you were kind of reminded me of that. And there were some other things that I did that I think were more physiological, like the food I was eating, changing that,
Yeah.
yoga, meditation. I'm diffusing my oils, my candles, those
Yeah.
things. People don't realize how much those things actually can help with mindset, mood, and all of that. So there were other physiological things that I think I did to help as well.
Right. And you brought up the other R. I said realistic, but then you just said the other R, responsibility. So
Yeah.
what? So in this, and being realistic and being honest with yourself, I had to take responsibility for either my actions
Mhm.
or my inactions, right?
Yes.
Because when I look back on the relationship and when we was able to kind of talk after a period of time, she was like, Lou, like you were trying to be assertive too late. It's like the things that I was asking for, I wasn't getting.
Mhm.
Uh, and you may have thought we were good, but you weren't listening.
Mhm.
You weren't paying attention for when I was short. You weren't paying
Mhm.
attention when I was like, oh, I just don't feel like going out. You were
Mhm.
it's like I wasn't doing anything shady. I was losing interest
Mhm.
because me being so career minded, I was focused on my school, getting my master, getting
Mhm.
my doctorate, and what I should have said, what I should have done was say, okay, or at least preference the relationship. Well, I'm committed, but I can't be as committed as
Mhm.
you need me to be in this season.
Mhm.
That's the mature me talking at that time.
Mhm.
But I had to take the responsibility for it after the conversation. You know what? You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. You
Yeah.
know, and for somebody for like her who was already in her career,
Yeah.
working, doing her thing, um, it's like I'm not chasing all these things that you're chasing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to build a family. And
Mhm.
then there were other things like, I was easily offended at that time. When I was younger, easily offended. So if you said something, I would get defensive real quickly. And it was kind of like, nobody want to live with that for the rest of their life. So,
Yeah.
it was a few things going on there, but I say all that to say responsibility, right?
Mhm.
You got to be realistic. And, one of the other things you have to do when shifting your mindset, reframing, is taking proper responsibility for whatever it is whatever part you played in the disappointment, right? Remember,
Yeah.
we're focusing in on disappointment, mindset shifting on disappointment, right? Um, because you may say, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I was stand up. I studied. Whatever.
Mhm.
I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, what was your expectations?
Mhm.
Go back and look at your expectations. Were they realistic? Were they
Yeah.
attainable? You know, um, in coaching, I take clients through the SMART goal system, right? The SMART goal system, where can you measure them? Are they attainable? Are they timely? Right? Are they specific, measurable, attainable, and timely? Right? So, what's the R? The R was I forgot the R.
Realistic.
Realistic. There we go. Realistic. So, um, in that you got to ask yourself the question: were your expectations the issue? Like you
Right.
said, you had unrealistic expectations. So, those are, and we'll kind of get into a few more. But when it comes to kind of what I had to do, those are two things I had to take. I had to be realistic with my situation, and then really take responsibility.
Yeah.
For where I was at, at that time, rather. Um, so let's kind of talk about, aside from our own disappointments. You had mentioned health, right?
Mhm.
So why don't you elaborate a little bit on how health can help frame your reframe or shift your mindset to a more positive place,
Yeah.
when necessary.
That is huge. Health and the decisions that we make with our bodies are so important. And I don't think that we think about it and talk about it enough. When I was disappointed, sad, down, you know what I wanted? I wanted some food that would hug me. Okay. I
Yeah.
wanted something deep fried,
Yeah.
smothered. I wanted something sweet.
The
I
comfort
wanted
food.
comfort food because it made me feel better emotionally, right?
Mm.
But it was always like this temporary satisfaction. I eat till I'm stuffed and all this stuff, and it just, I did not understand that health wise, that was not helping me. It was actually doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And this is something that I talk to my therapist about because, I'm in therapy weekly. I believe in counseling. I believe in therapy. I know some people don't, but I do. And one of the things that my therapist will say is like, if I'm having a hard time, she'll say, Sabrina, think light, eat light. And that means don't reach for the French toast with the powdered sugar and the butter because that might hug me, but
Better than
it's
me.
also it's also gonna make me
That's
go
what I'm
lay
reaching for.
down. Listen, but then I'm lethargic, and then I'm in the bed, and then I'm thinking about that stuff that
Yeah.
I'm sad about, and it's heavy on me. Versus, let me go grab some fruit and a smoothie, and then I feel light, and then I have energy, and my mind is
Yeah.
light, and I can move, and I'm not sunk in the bed with the dark shades. So
Right.
it's just it really does make a difference. Your physical health, moving your body. I'm not a gym person. You're not gonna catch me in a gym. But what you might catch me doing is some yoga in my living room, some stretching, all
Yeah.
of that. I'm not a scientist, and I don't perceive to be this like huge fitness person, but I know that our lymphatic system in our body, it drains out toxins, it flushes toxins. That is the one system in our body that we have to activate by movement. So if
Yeah.
I'm already sad, already depressed, and eating terrible things at the same time, I can't even flush out those toxins that I just put in my body for temporary
Right.
pleasure.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Right.
it's just a cycle that kind of begets itself. It doesn't stop. So, I always tell people when they're depressed, like, I'm not saying you got to eat salads all day, but throw in some other stuff that is specifically going to help you with your mental health. Fruit, light foods, airy foods, things like that definitely help. Throw in some movement, go outside, get some vitamin D. The sun loves our skin. I take a
Right.
prayer walk every day, midday, every day. I'm
That's
going to
what's
go
up.
get me some
Yeah.
vitamin D. Breathe. Breathing helps. All of that stuff is so helpful for reframing negative thinking. And we don't even really connect the two, but they are so connected.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to have a fitness coach on here in a couple weeks or so, and yeah, I'm almost certain. I can be certain he's going to say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Your mind and the way you think is tied to what
Yes.
you put into your body. Almost, and it's
100%.
because he's one of my closest friends. So I
Mhm.
just know how I already know how he thinks. But he's a
Mhm.
he's a gym rat. He has he's a co-owner of a gym
Oh, that's
out there in
awesome.
California. Yeah, so and then he also works in um, the healthcare. He works on the administrative side, but he's around doctors all day and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So he's having those conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what I'm saying, and I get it. I'm on my way to. I'm already planning my journey for
Mhm.
2023.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to slowly drink more water and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Because what my thing is when I'm in a routine, if that routine
Mhm.
gets broken by anything, it's hard for me to
Yeah.
get back to it. So for
Oh
me,
yeah.
I'm rhythm minded. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm very rhythm minded, and hopefully I get able to get Coach Chelsea on here one day because she's a success coach and she talks about
Mhm.
balance and rhythm and the difference and things of that nature. So my life is I have to be in the rhythm. So if I'm waking up
Yeah.
every morning at 4 a.m. for prayer, and then right after that I'm going to work out, and then that rhythm gets disrupted by a
Yes.
move or a situation, it takes me weeks to get back
Oh,
to
I'm the
that.
same way. Yes,
Um,
100%.
and
Yes.
if something happens that's like traumatic or has traumatic implications.
Yeah.
It's hard. Listen, my mind needs to get there where I go eat some grapes when I'm feeling
I got
bad.
one word for you. I got one word for you, Coach
Yeah,
Lou. One word. Grace. Grace. That's
yeah,
it. That's all you can do. Cause I've been there. I have had my routine disrupted as well. And the thing about it is, and I hope this is not like counterproductive, but
no, talking
one of
real.
the things I've had to learn this year, very recently, I've had to learn to be okay with the feelings that I feel
Mhm.
as they come.
Yeah,
And so, months ago, I felt like all of these very intimate areas of my life they felt like they were under attack. And so prior to this attack, Coach Lou, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. every day and I'm working out and I'm not a workout person. So
yeah,
for months, I'm getting up every day. I'm working out. I'm taking my herbs. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm doing all of these things. And then boom, 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 one after the other. Work is affected. My relationship is affected. My family's affected, and everything stops. Ain't no working out. Ain't no apples in the morning. Ain't no grapes.
yeah.
I want pancakes and syrup, extra syrup,
Listen,
and I want my syrup warm too. This is what I need because this space that I'm in. But I had to allow myself to say, hey, I'm human and these feelings that I'm feeling are real. And I didn't have to rush myself to get out of those, but I knew eventually this will pass and I will eventually get back to the space that I was in and I will get my routine back. But it was okay to give myself grace because those are real life things to feel.
yeah,
Disappointment, it hurts.
absolutely.
It hurts. So it might stump you for a little bit, but joy is always gonna come another day.
Yeah, shoot. Because when I'm disappointed and I'm like feeling down, I'm gonna go get my old reliable Chick-fil-A spicy deluxe
Yeah,
meal, large
yeah.
with 12 count nuggets on the side. Give me 2 ranch, 2 buffalo sauce, and listen, give me a brownie and a cookie and
Oh
my
my
Sunjoy.
goodness.
Listen,
Oh my
listen,
goodness. We need it
listen.
all. We need it all.
And I'm gonna eat
And that's
every
okay.
bite of it.
That's okay. And you
Yeah,
ain't gonna get no complaint from me because listen, I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
And I don't think anybody should be striving for perfectionism because that is yet another expectation that breeds disappointment.
Right. I think when it comes to we can talk this actually it could be a whole episode too, but just touching on it just a little bit. When it comes to people striving for perfection, I tell them don't strive for perfection, strive for excellence because excellence allows you to be imperfect but still do things well.
I like it.
Right? So when people say, "Well, I just want, I'm striving for perfection." You're never going to get there.
Yeah.
You want to get close. You want to get close. People,
Never.
the idea around perfection, people think they can get close. You won't get close to perfection.
Mm-mm.
Perfection means that there's absolutely no flaws. So since you come
Right.
into this world with flaws, you're never going to get close to it.
Ever.
What you can achieve though is excellence,
Yes.
which means though I'm flawed, whatever I do it so well that you can't recognize the flaws.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And that's excellence. So so that whole, and there's people, their minds when it comes they get so wrapped up in disappointments because their minds are focused on being perfect
Yeah.
when that's an unattainable, it's just unattainable,
Yeah.
right? um
Good.
here's the thing about, somebody said, well, you can't, let's use a sports analogy rather. Well, somebody goes, because you always gonna have your devil's advocates, right? Well, what do you mean? Like, what if I'm playing basketball and I go, 10 for 10? That's perfection. That's perfect. I shot a perfect game, but you didn't play a perfect game because
Mhm.
did your man score? How many points did your man
Mhm.
score? So you didn't keep your man from scoring, right? And then let's say you scored, you had a perfect game, you kept your man from scoring. Okay, did you run every play the right way? Probably
Mhm.
not.
Yep.
Probably not. All right, did you miss an assignment, but your man just happened to not score on the assignment? Like, so perfection, you won't get there.
Yeah.
You'll never you will never get there, but you can be excellent. 10 for 10 scoring, keeping my man under a certain amount of points. and playing the best game I can play, that's excellence. It wasn't
Yeah.
perfect, but it was excellent, right?
Yeah.
So I think
There are
that's
definitely many ways to look at that.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and you kind of touched on this some of the not necessarily the working out piece, but even just things just around like aromatherapy and
Oh
meditation. Use this word
yeah.
meditation.
Yeah.
Uh People of faith, disclaimer here, I meditate.
Mhm.
The Bible says to meditate.
Mhm.
It's a scripture that says meditate, on the word, right?
Yeah.
You meditate on his word. So meditate many times because when you get hyper spiritual people, when they go into meditation, they think humde like
Yeah.
that's that's not meditation. Like
Right.
you're not trying to what you're doing is you're centering yourself,
Yeah.
right? So what's some meditation things that you do rather?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I think I have a couple of different ways that I do it depending on the day. Sometimes I'll be here in my office and I just need a moment. I will
Yeah,
set a 10-minute timer on my phone. I'll come sit on this couch. I'll close my eyes and I'll just breathe. And I'll do my best to calm my mind. Doesn't mean that I prevent thoughts from coming because they will come.
right.
But if a thought comes, I let it come and then I usher it out of my mind. I don't want to hold on to too much of anything during that moment. I just want to be and breathe and be still and just be in peace for a moment. And I really believe that that's self-care because as
Absolutely.
adults, especially with families and responsibilities, we always got somewhere to be. I live by my calendar. We always got somewhere to be. So taking just 10 minutes to myself to be responsible to only me and the silence of my room, that is everything. Sometimes I'll do meditation before bed. My meditation before bed is a little different. I do what's called body scan meditation. So I'll lay down right before bed, and it's almost as if like you picture like a copy machine. You know how the light kind of zooms in on the
Yeah,
copy
yeah, yeah.
machine. I like picture that light zooming from the top of my head down every part of my body till it gets all the way to my toes. And I just check in with my body. What do I feel? Do I feel tension in my shoulder? Do I
Mm,
feel tightness in my back? Because that is me spending time with my body and understanding where I might have stored some stress, where
mm.
I might have stored some anxiousness from the earlier in the day, and I don't even make adjustments. It's just about the awareness. But it's just nice to just check in with myself, check in with my body before bed. So there are different ways that, like you said, people can do meditation. I mean, there are meditation apps. You can literally download like an app that'll
Yeah.
guide you through meditation if you want to. But yeah, just calming my mind, checking in with my body. It's so important for my mental health and for my mindset. Yeah, it's definitely really important for me.
Yeah. For me, and we could go ahead and start wrapping up, with this, because I think it's a great segue into a wrap up. Is that for me, some of the things that I do, my meditation is tied to my prayer time, right?
Hmm.
Or one way that I meditate is tied to my prayer
Yes,
time. So
yes.
for me, I have a set prayer time that obviously I pray, do a devotional, et cetera, my spiritual disciplines, right? But then what I'll do is I'll just take a moment and I
Mhm.
just won't say nothing. So me, I like to lay in prayer or sit in prayer, right? Or,
Mhm.
I mean, lay in prayer or walk in prayer. So I'll pace back and forth and pray. Um, so for me, when I'm either sometimes I do it before, or either before or when I'm done, I'll just sit or I'll just
Mhm.
lay.
Yep.
And um and I don't do nothing. I turn the music
Mhm.
off, I turn off whatever, I close my Bible, I just sit and I lay. And
Mhm.
it's not necessarily me trying to be in tune with the Holy Spirit, because I believe that's usually because I have a prayer life, that's automatic for me. It's
Yeah.
it's for me to center my mind. So it's for
Mhm.
me to allow myself to get to a place where my impulses are at a place of stability, so I don't quickly react to something that I shouldn't.
Mhm.
right? Or quickly say something that I shouldn't, right? And I've
Mhm.
noticed, y'all hear me, I've noticed that the days that I do not do this,
Mm.
I have a heightened level of impulses.
Speak on it.
I'm quick to react. I'm quick to, snap at, if one of my kids do something they shouldn't do. I'm quick to, say the wrong response to my wife. It's only when I don't take that time to step back and center my mind,
Yes.
right? And so even in disappointments, as hard as it may be, taking that time to take a step back and try your best and just not to think about anything,
Yeah.
right? Just not to think about anything. Allow those impulses, all those emotions, all those feelings to kind of. Here's the thing. I have a psychology background, so I believe it was one of my undergrad. I forgot how he put it, but he said sometimes your feelings need to take a break.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
I
was like,
love
oh my
that.
goodness, your
Yes.
feelings, your emotions, your feelings,
Yes.
they need to take a break,
Yes.
right? And that's kind of what meditation does. And I've noticed that meditation, at least for me, and that when I've seen it, other people do it, it protects you from yourself when you're not yourself until you become yourself again.
Mhm. I
So if you're
love
going
that.
through something, what meditation can do, the way meditation helps reframe your mind and center yourself, is that it can protect you from when you're not yourself, protect you from
Yes.
yourself when you're
I
not
love
yourself
that.
until you become
Yes.
yourself again, right?
Yes.
So that's one way I do it. It's like I tie it into my prayer time.
Mhm.
A second way I do it, and I just, it doesn't have to be just simple breaks. Take a break.
Yeah.
If
Take a
you're
break.
working corporate America, if you're a teacher, educator, a creator, whatever, at some point in your day, are you taking 10 to 15 minutes to just
Yes.
go sit somewhere
Yes. You have
quiet,
to.
close your
It's
eyes
so
and
necessary.
breathe and breathe,
Mhm.
you know? Um, that's meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be overbearing. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be,
You don't have to
uh,
chant. You don't have
yeah,
to.
it doesn't have to be anything like that.
Yeah.
Meditation can be, because what meditation does is a centering. It centers your
Mhm.
brain, it centers your mind, it centers your emotions, it centers your spirit, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't take long for that. And here's the thing: when you have a
No.
healthy, a and actually, but when you have a healthy spiritual life, it doesn't take long for yourself to be centered.
No. No, no. And I just have to say, Coach Lou, I love, love, love that you shared about how you tie your meditation in your prayer.
Yeah,
Prayer is a discipline, and there's so much that goes on in this world, so much stimuli, so many things that can affect you, your mom, your wife, your kids, work, every single morning without fail, just like you, I gotta sit in my prayer closet. I
got
have
to.
to. I have to. And I have to, when I finish reading my devotional or my scripture, or my prayer, I gotta sit there for a minute and let it just wash over me before I call it word before world. Before I let this
Mm,
world have
mm,
any
yeah,
of me. I got to let that word and just the presence of God wash over me, because I know that the only way that I can appropriately and effectively respond to the stimuli that is awaiting us in this world is to have that time. And through that
yeah,
time, I do also, like you said, incorporate meditation. So it's just so important. It's so important. I just love that you
yeah,
brought that up.
yeah. And it is. It's very important. So just we our run the play segment. It's simple. I would say it's simple. It the exercises are simple, but the exercises are simple, but depending on the state that you're in, it can be very difficult. But I think meditation, if you're struggling with disappointment, take some time to meditate.
Yeah.
Make sure you're being realistic about the situation,
Mhm.
and then let's be responsible. All right.
Yeah.
Are you taking responsibility for your part in whatever it is that you're disappointed about? And then
Mhm.
just make sure you're keeping yourself, keeping your body in a state of good health. You know,
Yes.
your body, your mind, your spirit in a state of good health. I truly believe that is through spirituality, and I believe scripture is the best way to live. So my personal bias, even though I know people may be a part of this community who is not, into the faith like that, but my personal bias is I don't think you can get through anything without the hand of God. So however you decide, well, let me put it this way, whatever you decide is the best method for you, just make sure you're keeping yourself in a place where you don't allow yourself to get to a dark place where you can't get back from. Because disappointments happen, but they're not the end all be all.
Right.
You bounce back from. I promise you will bounce back from a disappointment.
Guaranteed 100%.
All right.